Welcome to Jumbo Safari Media. This is Jumbo News with me, Tracy Wamboi. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines. Thailand Supreme Court strikes down hairstyle rules. Students celebrate freedom of expression. Heavy clashes in Syria leave dozens dead as new rules clash with Assad loyalties. Raila Odinga's political journey from opposition leader to unexpected partner with President William Ruto. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol released from jail impeachment trial still looms. Israel's blockade of Gaza raises concerns over humanitarian crisis and potential starvation. Albania bans TikTok for a year, citing concerns over violence and bullying. Cyclone Alfred hits Australia east coast, bringing strong winds and heavy rain. Well, Kenya's political scene just took a turn that got everyone talking. It seems like President William Ruto and Kenya's veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga, two figures who have always been prominent in Kenyan politics, are joining forces. Now, you might be thinking, wait, what? And you'd be right to think that. After all, these two have been on different sides of the political fence for a long time. But it seems like they have decided to put their differences aside and work together. This unexpected partnership has got everyone buzzing. So let's take a look at what this partnership means for Kenya's future. President William Ruto and veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga came together at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi, where they signed a landmark memorandum of understanding. In a collaboration aimed at addressing some of Kenya's most pressing issues. The Memorandum of Understanding outlined several key agreements, including the full implementation of the National Dialogue Committee report, tackling youth unemployment and enforcing the two-thirds gender rule in public offices. The two leaders also committed to enhancing inclusivity, ensuring equal opportunities for all Kenyans regardless of political or religious affiliations. Additionally, they have agreed to promote leadership integrity, curb excess among government leaders, and provide a legal framework to address conflicts of interest within public institutions. The agreement also emphasizes the importance of upholding the rule of law and constitutionalism, as well as protecting the rights of peaceful assembly. The signing of this Memorandum of Understanding marks a significant development in Kenya's political landscape. Whether this partnership will deliver real change remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, Kenya's political future is taking a new direction. We'll keep you updated as more information comes in. South Korea's politic drama just added another season. You'd think after months of impeachment hearings and legal battles, President Yoon Suk-yeol might have finally run out of surprises. But no. Well, today he's walking out of jail, at least temporarily. Why? Because a court decided his arrest might have been a little too messy. So now he's out on the streets while the country waits to see if he's going back behind bars or back to the presidential office. Let's look at the details. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, who has been detained since January on charges of insurrection, was granted release by the Seoul Central District Court. The court cancelled his arrest warrant, citing doubts about the legality of the charges and the timing of his detention. Yoon's legal team argued that the agency responsible for his arrest lacked jurisdiction and claimed the court left unresolved. Yoon's legal battles are far from over, as the Constitutional Court still needs to decide whether to uphold his impeachment. While his supporters celebrate the ruling, opposition leaders insist his actions were a dangerous breach of South Korea's constitution. The political drama continues, with Yoon's future in office hanging in the balance. South Korea's political crisis is far from over. President Yoon's temporary release only adds to the growing uncertainty with legal battles and the impeachment trials still looming. On one hand, his supporters are celebrating what they see as a win for the rule of law, while his critics argue this is just another chapter in a dangerously disturbed. In a world where food is the difference between survival and death, the situation in Gaza has taken a dire turn. Imagine relying on aid just to get through the month. Now, imagine that aid suddenly cut off. That's the harsh reality for hundreds of thousands in Gaza, as Israel tightens its grip on the regions once again, blocking the entry of essential supplies like food. And with this move, a new question rises. Is this a strategy to weaken Hamas, or is it a deliberate attempt to starve an entire population? Let's get the details. Amid the ruins of the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza, families like Mohammed are struggling to survive. Their basic needs are met through food aid, but now that lifeline is under serious threat. Israel recently announced it would block humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, a decision intended to pressure Hamas into releasing hostages and agreeing to a more ceasefire condition. But the fallout is already being felt. With food supplies dwindling, Gaza's markets are facing skyrocketing prices and vital services like bakery and soup kitchens are running out of stock. The United Nations and other aid groups have condemned the move, claiming the cutting off food supplies violates international law. They also warn that Gaza's water infrastructure could soon collapse as fuel for the pumps run dry. In the midst of the rubble, locals like Abu Muhammad say they feel as though Israel is fighting them through their food. The question is, now, whether the international community will step in to help, or if this is the beginning of an even greater humanitarian crisis. As food, water, and electricity supplies dwindle, one can't help but wonder how much longer this fragile situation can hold before it tips over into even greater suffering. Well, here's a surprise no one saw coming. Albania has decided to hit the pause button on TikTok for an entire year. Why? Apparently, it's not just the viral dances and lip syncs causing trouble anymore. The Albanian government claims the app is stirring up violence and bullying, especially among kids. So TikTok, you're officially grounded. Let's see why this seemingly harmless app is now on the hot seat. The Albanian cabinet made the bold decision to block TikTok for the next 12 months. The government argues that the platform is contributing to rising violence and bullying, particularly among children. This move comes after a tragic incident last November where a teenager fatally stabbed another following a disagreement that started on TikTok. In response, Albanian authorities have been in talks with TikTok about adding better parental controls, age verification, and even incorporating the Albanian language into the app. The government claims they consulted over 65,000 parents, most of whom supported limiting or shutting down TikTok altogether. While TikTok denies its role in the stabbing claims, the video involved were posted on another platform. Concerns about its influence continue to rise. The government has responded by increasing police presence at schools and introducing educational programs for parents and teachers to keep kids safe online. This raises a bigger question. How much responsibility should platforms like TikTok bear for the behavior of their young users? Is it really up to the government to step in, or should parents be more proactive in monitoring what their kids see online? Well, Albania's drastic move may just be the beginning of a larger conversation about how we balance freedom of expression and the safety of children. Syria, a country already ravaged by years of war, has been hit by a new wave of violence, and this time it's even worse than before. Just when it seemed like peace was within reach, after the fall of Bashar al-Assad, the situation has escalated into the deadliest fight the country has ever seen in months. Forces loyal to Assad's old regime are clashing with the new government in what experts are calling a terrifying new chapter in Syria's ongoing conflict. So, what's really happening in Syria? In the past 24 hours, intense fighting has broken out in Syria's coastal cities of Latakia and Tartus, with reports of more than 70 people killed. The violence erupted when former regime forces ambushed government troops during a security operation in Latakia. In the past 24 hours, intense fighting has broken out in Syria's coastal city of Latakia and Tartus, with reports of more than 70 people killed. The violence erupted when former regime forces ambushed government troops during a security operation in Latakia, an area long associated with the Assad's family and their Alawite supporters. The fighting has quickly spread to other cities like Homs and Aleppo. Military zones have been seized and local militias are holed up in the mountains. In the past 24 hours, intense fighting has broken out in Syria's coastal city of Latakia and Tartus, with reports of more than 70 people killed. The violence erupted when former regime forces ambushed government troops during a security operation in Latakia, an area long associated with the Assad's family and the Alawite supporters. The fighting has quickly spread to other cities like Homs and Aleppo. Military zones have been seized and local militias are holed up in the mountains, continuing their attacks on government forces. Despite the mounting casualties, neither side is backing down. Curfews have been imposed in Latakia and Tartus as the violence intensifies and both sides are suffering heavy losses. Syrian authorities have warned former regime fighters to surrender, but many continue to resist, leading to even more bloodshed. As the new government faces increasing resistance, President Ahmed al-Sharaa finds himself battling not just loyalist forces but growing unrest across the country. What was supposed to be a new chapter after Assad's fall is now another chapter of division and violence. Well, as the country spirals deeper into chaos, the question remains, how much longer can Syria endure, and will it ever find the peace it so desperately needs? Well, we'll continue to follow up on this story closely and bring you the latest developments as they unfold. Just when you thought you could relax and enjoy Australia's beautiful beaches, along comes a cyclone, Cyclone Alfred, to remind everyone why living on the East Coast isn't always a vacation. For the first time in 50 years, a powerful cyclone is making way down south, and it's bringing a mix of strong winds, heavy rains, and of course, plenty of chaos. Tens of thousands are evacuating, airports are shutting down, and people are scrambling to prepare for what could be one very wild weekend. Let's take a look at what's brewing. Cyclone Alfred is expected to make landfall on Saturday, bringing wind speeds up to 130 kilometers per hour and heavy rains. The storm is moving slowly, raising concerns of flooding across Queensland and northern New South Wales. Over 84,000 homes are without power and at least one person is missing after being swept into a river. The cyclone's erratic movement has made preparations critical, with authorities distributing sandbags and urging residents to stay inside. While Queensland often faces cyclone, one of these far south is rare, and the potential for severe flooding remains high. Local residents are preparing as best as they can, but some surfers are taking advantage of the strong winds, ignoring safety warnings. Prime Minister Albanese and local officials have stressed the importance of taking the warnings seriously. As Cyclone Alfred approaches, the situation remains tense, with many waiting for what could be a devastating storm. Australians are getting ready for potential flooding and destruction, and the full impact won't be known until the storm passes. In a shocking twist, the island has just decided that students can now, brace yourself, actually choose their own hairstyles. Yes, you heard that right. After decades of strict rules demanding short hair for boys and bob cuts for ladies, the courts have stepped in and said, let them grow their hair. Let's see what led to this wild turn of events. On Wednesday, the Island Supreme Administrative Court ruled that the 50-year-old directive requiring boys to have short hair and girls to wear ear-length bobs was unconstitutional. Student activists had long fought against the outdated rule, arguing it violated their personal freedom. While the Education Ministry had already relaxed some restrictions in recent years, some schools still enforce the old guidelines. Now, with the court's decision, students have the freedom to express themselves through their hairstyles, though some conservative schools may still hold on to the old practices. This ruling is a win for students, right? But the real test will be whether the schools will embrace this change or continue to fight it. Either way, one thing is clear: Thailand students just got one step closer to their personal freedom, and maybe even a little hair in the process. Thank you for tuning in to Jumbo Safari Media. This is Jumbo News. Remember to subscribe, like, and share to get news on what's going on all around the world. This is Jumbo Safari Media, and we are just a click away.